Hi, I'm Lynne with Softsquares. Today I'm going to start a new series. This is called the Make It Merry Block of the Month, which I'm actually selling as a complete kit. So if you want to follow along with the fabrics that I'm using, just know that this is in softsquares.com under specialty boxes, because it's an item that I'm putting together, if that made any sense. You can also search Make It Merry and you'll find it there. I'm also selling just the pattern. So this is what I'm working on. The way it comes to you when you order it from me as a kit is you get everything at once, all of the patterns and all of the fabric. So this right here is a stack of my fabric, not what's down here, but all of this. This is what comes in the kit. I guess I should bring it closer. These are the fabrics that you get that come in the kit, and they're all labeled. And it tells you the fabric number, what it is, and how much of it calls for, which you have at least that much in your cut, if that made sense. All right, so here's all my fabric for this. Put it back up there. The binding, when you get the kit from me, not the binding, the border fabric, you get to pick from two choices. There's a green choice and a red and white choice, and the listing shows you that. But because what I'm doing is, let me get back to that. This will make sense in just a minute. So this is the pattern, right? And on here, it's made by Lamb Farm Designs. She makes the cutest patterns. Now, she actually designed this fabric, and Make It Merry is the name of the fabric. It's available through Marcus Fabrics. I am not carrying that fabric, so I am making this quilt with similar colors that will give it the same look. And so what I've done is inside her pattern, she actually gives us a diagram of the fabrics, a close-up, and they're all numbered. So I have done my best to match them as close as I can, and I put labels on them, and then you get like a thumbnail picture, which is what this is. That shows you up close what each of the fabrics are that are coming in the kit that I'm putting together. And these are the two fabrics you can pick from for your border. Whoop. So the white one is what kind of makes it look like this from a distance, where it has white with a little bit of red. This green one is a poinsettia, and that's the one I have selected to use. So you get to pick which border you want, and if you don't pick, I will select one for you. But these are limited kits, but there's also the patterns available. So what I'm doing is I'm going to start sewing the blocks and make a series out of it. So let's just see how far I get with block one. My goal is each video will be its own block. Now, I want to let you know this is a flyer, just because I happen to have it here. The finished quilt should be 59 by 59. You're going to get everything all at once, and you go to softsquares.com to get it. So check it out if you want to use the pattern or just the kit. All right, so the first, get myself organized. The first block, I like to copy so I can write on the pattern, but this is the first block that we're making. And because it's not my pattern, I can't tell you the size of things. However, I can show you how to assemble, which is what my goal is with this. Now, I've got a new setup in my sewing area. You can see my design wall. Whoop. I'm not coordinated. There, with the black and green quilt. That's my design wall. Sometimes I'll stand in front of that to do videos, and then you can see all the stuff behind me. That's my personal fabrics, and sometimes you'll see that in my background. I'm at the far end of the room. In fact, Mr. Fix-It's desk is right here. It's a little bit of a mess, but it's in the view. I'm now in the far corner when I'm sitting at an L-shaped desk, so I can like get to my iron, I can get to my cutting, and my sewing is right here, and it's so much more efficient. I used to do it this way. When we moved into this house 3 years ago, I set things up a little differently, and I just didn't have a flow. So I will still do things over there. In fact, I still have machines set up over there. But since I've got my shoulders fixed, I'm healed from my surgery, and I got myself back in this sewing situation, I am cranking out the quilts and getting things done. In fact, I just got through doing a ton of binding because I couldn't wrangle the quilts because the binding, those quilts are heavy. So I'm actually getting a lot done. So we're gonna Anyway, I thought I'd explain what you're seeing with this background. And you might see me in other settings. But this is my favorite cutting board. It's a 14 by 14 Fiskars rotating mat. And I use it for my regular stuff like all the time. It's great for cutting, and I can pick it up and take my projects with me. So usually I'll cut and then go over to the machine with it when I had to work in an area where things weren't as close. So the good news is we have this right here, and I can't tell you the sizes, but I will tell you there's a whole lot of these little squares and a whole lot of these little squares and a whole lot of these rectangles. And then we have some pieces that are going to be strips. Now I've already gone ahead and cut out my pieces for this. So first thing we're going to do, it says to take this and we're going to make 2 sets that look like this. And here's the other set. So 2 of those. And we're going to make 1 of these. And this is what makes our little 9 patch. That's the center block of this. And then the rest of these are for making the points and the flying geese, half square triangles that are needed for that. I don't have my cameras set up ideally just yet. Piecing is always the best if you can do it. Not strip piecing, chain piecing with strips. We are strip piecing. Oh my gosh. Press to the dark side. And if you set your seam like this, it actually will press better. A little flatter. I also have a clapper. These seem to be doing pretty good. But this is where you could use this. And ideally the way you use it is you put on there until it cools. It definitely makes it nice and flat. So don't need it right now though. We have 1 more. There's even instructions on here on which way to press things. And basically it's telling us to press everything towards the green strip. So no matter what set we're working on, press towards the green. And then when we're done, we're going to cut them into little strips and make 9 patches, and the joints will nest really nice because we have it done that way. It's time to cut these guys. Told me to make little strip sets and I wasn't paying attention, but I ended up with the selvage on this one. I'm hoping I don't need to go that far, but I'll just cut another piece big enough for that last little grouping there. That will be there. And I'm going to square up the ends. tells me to cut segments. Again, I've got all 3 of my block sets. This is where a stripology ruler would be super nice. It's tight. Not the easiest way to cut the way I'm doing it. So some of my selvage ended up on there, but honestly that might end up in my seam. If I need to, I will remake that little block. That was not bad. Okay, so now we're making 9 patches, which means you need these 3 pieces. I'm going to put them together and they are going to nest because of the way the seams, when we press them every other one. I'm going to try this block first just to get it out of the way. And these are nesting so nice. Okay, so still nesting. So here's the back. Better to press these open. Well, the directions told you to do that, but it would not work any other way. My 9 patches are done, and now it's time to do flying geese and half square triangles. I'm sorry, just flying geese. We are making this part right here, and there's going to be 8 of them. So let's get one done. I am making flying geese. I'm going to use my red line on here and go corner to corner. You can draw a line or you could press it, which is what I usually like to do, but this is such a small piece I can see it, so I'm not going to take the time to do that. I don't think I need it. got this. You press so both sides go open. Now we square them up. Now we're going to make our block. So you're going to take one of these, and it looks like these go this way. Okay, it goes like this. And then you take these. And this is where I take these three, sew them together, these three, and these three, and then I join the sections together and we are done. This is block 1. You need 8 of these, so by following the instructions it has your chain piece and all of your pieces are built at the same time. So I already have all of my 9 patches and all my flying geese already done, and just a matter of assembling blocks, and then I'll have 8 of them and I am done with block 1. Stick around for block 2. Have a great day.